Ladies and gentlemen, life is not a series of coincidences. It is a journey directed by decisions. Wherever you are today, whatever you are experiencing, it is the outcome of decisions you have made in the past. And the good news is, no matter where you stand, you are only one decision away from transforming your life forever. Throughout history, every great leader, innovator, and world changer arrived at a defining moment where they had to choose between remaining in their current state or stepping into a new future. They did not wait for circumstances to change. They made a decision that changed their circumstances. Success is not a matter of luck. It is the product of intentional decisions. If you desire growth, knowledge, and impact, you must first decide to change your thinking. Your thoughts shape your choices shape your actions, and your actions create your future. Many people hesitate at the crossroads of decision-making due to fear. Fear of failure, fear of the unknown, and fear of stepping out of their comfort zones. But let me remind you, nothing extraordinary happens in the comfort zone. Those who achieve greatness are those who choose faith over fear, discipline over convenience, and purpose over pleasure. So how do you make a decision that transforms your life? First, seek wisdom. Learn from those who have walked the path before you. Second, develop a clear vision. Know where you want to go before you take the first step. Third, embrace discipline. Commit to the journey even when it gets difficult. Every significant transformation in life begins with a single decision. The choices we make today shape the direction of our future. The truth is, we are never victims of our circumstances. We are the results of the decisions we make every single day. Whether it is deciding to pursue education, start a business, change a habit, or adopt a new mindset, each decision carries the power to alter the course of our lives in ways we may not even imagine. A single decision has the potential to move a person from poverty to prosperity, from ignorance to wisdom, and from failure to success. The difference between where we are now and where we desire to be lies in the decisions we are willing to make. The most powerful tool given to human beings is the ability to choose. Unlike animals which operate based on instinct, we have been given the capacity to think, analyze, and decide our own path. The quality of our lives is determined not by what happens to us, but by how we respond to what happens. Two individuals may face the same challenges, yet one rises while the other remains stagnant, not because of luck, but because of the choices they make in response to those challenges. And some people wait for their circumstances to change, but wise individuals recognize that circumstances change only when decisions are made. Life does not reward wishful thinking. It rewards deliberate action based on wise decisions. History is filled with stories of people who changed their lives with a single decision. There are individuals who grew up in difficult environments, facing poverty, rejection, or even failure. Yet one decision shifted everything. Consider the student who chooses to take their studies seriously, the entrepreneur who decides to take a risk, or the individual who chooses to break a generational cycle of failure. These decisions create a chain reaction, setting in motion a new reality that leads to greater success and fulfillment. The power of decision-making is not in the size of the choice, but in its ability to redirect a person's life toward a greater purpose. Many people fail to recognize the authority they have over their own lives. They blame external forces such as their background, lack of resources, or the opinions of others for their stagnation. However, the truth is that nothing changes until a decision is made. No amount of talent, intelligence, or opportunity can compensate for indecisiveness. Opportunities are abundant, but only those who make firm decisions seize them. A person can have great potential, but until they decide to use it, they will remain where they are. The challenge with decision making is that it requires responsibility. Some people avoid making decisions because they fear making the wrong ones. But avoiding decisions is in itself a decision to remain in the same place. The key to growth is not in avoiding mistakes, but in learning from them. Every successful person has made mistakes, but they never allowed those mistakes to define them. Instead, they used them as stepping stones to greater wisdom and better choices in the future. A person who refuses to make decisions out of fear will always remain trapped by their own indecision. One of the greatest decisions anyone can make is to change their mindset. The way we think determines the way we act, and our actions determine the results we experience. If a person decides to embrace a mindset of possibility rather than limitation, they open themselves to opportunities they never saw before. If they choose to believe in their ability rather than doubt their potential, they will pursue goals they once thought were impossible. Everything starts in the mind, and a decision to change one's thinking can transform an entire life. We must also understand that decision-making is not a one-time event, but a continuous process. Every day we are presented with choices, some small, some life-changing. How we handle these decisions determines the quality of our journey. Small daily decisions, such as choosing discipline over laziness, patience over frustration, and learning over ignorance, accumulate to create a life of excellence. Likewise, negative decisions, even if they seem insignificant, can lead to destruction over time. A single poor decision, repeated consistently, can derail a person's future. That is why wisdom is essential in decision making. The key to making powerful decisions is clarity. When a person knows what they want in life, it becomes easier to decide the direction they should take. Without vision, decisions become random and life becomes a cycle of confusion. But when a person has a clear goal, every decision is made with purpose. This is why successful individuals are intentional about their choices. They do not allow emotions, temporary pleasures, or external pressures to dictate their decisions. Instead, they choose based on their purpose, values, and long-term vision. In the end, every person is one decision away from a different life. Whether it is the decision to take a new opportunity, leave a toxic environment, invest in personal growth, or develop a positive habit, that one choice can set the foundation for an entirely new reality. The question is not whether change is possible. The question is whether we are willing to make the decisions necessary to create that change. The life we live today is the result of the decisions we made yesterday, and the life we will live tomorrow depends on the decisions we make today. Nothing in life happens by accident. Our choices create the reality we experience. Every success, every failure, every breakthrough, and every setback can be traced back to a decision. Some people believe that fate or luck determines their future. But the truth is, destiny is a product of choice, not chance. Whether we rise to greatness or remain stuck in mediocrity is entirely dependent on the decisions we are willing to make. Throughout history, we see evidence of how decisions shape destiny. The great leaders, inventors, and world changers did not arrive at their success by luck. They made intentional choices that positioned them for greatness. A student who chooses to study diligently instead of wasting time will eventually excel academically. A business person who decides to take a risk instead of playing it safe may build a successful enterprise. A person who chooses to work on their character instead of following destructive habits, will develop a strong and respected reputation. Every achievement we admire in others is a result of a decision they made at some point in their lives. Decisions do not just affect individuals, they influence entire generations. Some of the greatest advancements in history, scientific breakthroughs, technological innovations, social reforms, were all initiated by people who made bold decisions. Likewise, many of the problems we see in the world today are the consequences of poor decisions made in the past. When leaders make wise decisions, nations prosper. When individuals make disciplined decisions, families thrive. But when careless decisions are made, the impact can be destructive for years to come. One of the most dangerous mindsets a person can have is to believe that their decisions do not matter. Every choice we make has a consequence, whether we realize it or not. Some people assume that small decisions are insignificant, but even minor choices, when repeated over time, shape the direction of our lives. A person who neglects their health by repeatedly choosing unhealthy habits may not see the effects immediately, but over the years, those small decisions add up to serious consequences. On the other hand, someone who consistently makes wise financial choices, such as saving and investing, may not become wealthy overnight, but eventually those small decisions lead to financial stability. The ability to make wise decisions is one of the greatest assets a person can have. It is more valuable than talent, intelligence, or even resources. Many gifted and talented individuals never reach their full potential because they fail to make the right choices. They allow distractions, fear, or laziness to dictate their actions, and as a result, their potential is wasted. On the other hand, there are many individuals who may not be the most talented, but because they consistently make the right choices, they succeed in ways that others do not. Decision-making is the bridge between potential and reality. Fear often holds people back from making life-changing decisions. Many hesitate at critical moments, wondering whether they are making the right choice. But avoiding decisions is itself a decision to remain in the same place. Life does not wait for us to be ready. Those who achieve greatness are those who choose to act even when they are uncertain. They understand that no decision is ever perfect, but progress only happens when we take responsibility for our choices. Another key factor in decision-making is discipline. Many people know what they need to do, but they struggle to follow through. Knowledge alone does not create success. Consistent action does. Making a decision to improve one's life is only the first step. The real challenge is sticking to that decision even when it becomes difficult. This is why discipline is essential. A person who decides to change their life must also develop the self-control to stay committed to that decision, regardless of challenges, temptations, or setbacks. The most successful individuals are those who take ownership of their decisions. They do not blame circumstances, other people, or external conditions for their failures. They understand that while they may not control everything that happens to them, they do control how they respond. Even when faced with difficult situations, they choose to learn, adapt, and make the best of their circumstances. This mindset separates those who succeed from those who remain stuck. Our destiny is in our hands. Every day presents new opportunities to make decisions that align with our goals, values, and purpose. Those who understand the power of decisions take life seriously. They do not wait for luck or external changes to determine their future. They take intentional steps toward the life they desire, whether in personal growth, relationships, career, or finances. Every area of life is shaped by the choices we make. The question is not whether we have the power to change our destiny. The question is whether we are willing to make the decisions necessary to do so. One of the greatest battles every person faces when making decisions is the struggle between fear and faith. Fear paralyzes while faith empowers. Fear keeps people stuck in their comfort zones while faith pushes them toward growth and success. The choices we make in life are often determined by whether we allow fear to control us or whether we choose to step out in faith. Every great achievement in history, every breakthrough in personal life, and every success story is the result of someone who decided to act in faith rather than surrender to fear. Fear has the power to cripple decision-making. It whispers doubts, magnifies risks, and convinces people to stay where they are rather than step into the unknown. Many people remain in unfulfilling jobs, toxic relationships, or stagnant situations simply because they are afraid of change. They fear failure, rejection, and uncertainty, so they avoid making decisions that could transform their lives. However, avoiding decisions does not eliminate fear. It only strengthens it. The more we hesitate due to fear, the more power fear gains over our lives. On the other hand, faith enables people to move forward despite uncertainty. Faith does not mean having all the answers or knowing every step in advance. It means believing that progress is possible and taking action even when the outcome is uncertain. Every successful person in life has faced moments of doubt, but instead of allowing fear to hold them back, they chose to trust the process and move forward. Faith is not just about believing in something greater. It is about believing in oneself, one's abilities, and the potential for success. Many people think that successful individuals are fearless, but that is not true. Everyone experiences fear, but the difference is in how they respond to it. Some allow fear to dictate their decisions, while others acknowledge the fear but choose to act in faith regardless. The most successful people are those who have learned to push past their fears and take bold steps toward their goals. They understand that fear is natural, but it should never be the driving force behind decision making. Fear often disguises itself as logic or caution. People tell themselves that they are being practical when in reality they are simply afraid. They wait for the perfect moment to make a decision, but that moment never comes. There will always be risks, uncertainties, and challenges, but waiting for absolute certainty leads to missed opportunities. Faith, on the other hand, embraces the reality that no decision comes without risk, but that progress is only possible when action is taken. One of the biggest fears that prevent people from making life-changing decisions is the fear of failure. Society often portrays failure as something negative, but in reality, failure is one of the greatest teachers. Every successful person has failed at some point, but they did not let failure define them. Instead, they learned from their mistakes, adjusted their approach, and continued moving forward. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the journey to success. Those who operate in faith understand that temporary setbacks are not the end, but simply lessons that prepare them for greater achievements. Another major fear that holds people back is the fear of what others will think. Many individuals make decisions based on the opinions of family, friends, or society, rather than following their own convictions. They fear criticism, rejection, or being misunderstood, so they remain in situations that do not align with their true potential. However, living to please others only leads to regret. Faith requires the courage to pursue what is right, even when others do not understand. True success comes from making decisions that align with one's values and purpose, rather than seeking approval from others. Faith-based decision-making is not about ignoring reality or acting recklessly. It is about recognizing challenges but choosing to move forward anyway. It is about shifting focus from what could go wrong to what could go right. A person who operates in fear sees every obstacle as a reason to quit, while a person who operates in faith sees obstacles as opportunities for growth. The mindset we adopt when making decisions determines whether we remain stagnant or move forward. Every major breakthrough in life requires a step of faith. Whether it is starting a business, pursuing higher education, changing careers, or leaving a toxic environment, progress begins when a person decides to move forward despite uncertainty. The people who achieve greatness are not those who never experience fear, but those who refuse to let fear control them. They choose to believe in their ability, in the opportunities before them, and in the possibility of success. Fear and faith cannot coexist in decision making. One will always dominate the other. Those who allow fear to lead will always find reasons to stay where they are, while those who choose faith will always find ways to move forward. Every person has a choice: remain in fear and stay stuck, or step out in faith and create a new reality. The direction of life is determined by whether one chooses to be controlled by fear or to walk in faith toward a better future. Making wise decisions is one of the most critical skills a person can develop, because every choice carries consequences that shape the future. While many people desire success, growth, and transformation, they often struggle with making the right decisions that lead them toward those outcomes. The process of decision-making requires more than just emotions or impulse. It demands wisdom, clarity, and intentional action. Those who understand the principles of wise decision-making set themselves up for long-term success, while those who make careless or uninformed choices often find themselves trapped in cycles of regret and stagnation. One of the first steps in making wise decisions is seeking wisdom. Wisdom is different from knowledge. A person may have a lot of information, but without wisdom, they may still make poor decisions. Wisdom is the ability to apply knowledge in the right way at the right time for the right reasons. Seeking wisdom means learning from those who have walked the path before. It means studying the principles of success, listening to mentors, reading, and gaining insights from people with experience. A wise person does not make decisions based only on what they think is right at the moment. They gather knowledge and carefully evaluate the situation before making a move. Another critical aspect of decision-making is having a clear vision. A person who lacks vision will make decisions based on short-term desires rather than long-term goals. Without a clear direction, choices become random and life becomes a series of aimless movements. However, when a person has a strong vision for their future, their decisions become intentional and focused. Every wise decision aligns with that vision. A student who has a vision of academic success will choose to study rather than waste time. An entrepreneur with a vision of building a successful business will make strategic choices rather than impulsive ones. Vision serves as a guiding light, helping individuals make decisions that move them toward their desired future. Self-discipline is also a key element of making wise decisions. Many people know what they should do, but they lack the discipline to follow through. Decision-making is not just about choosing the right path. It is about committing to that path despite difficulties and distractions. A person who decides to improve their health must have the discipline to maintain good habits consistently. A professional who chooses to advance in their career must have the discipline to keep learning and growing even when progress feels slow. Without self-discipline, even the best decisions will not lead to success because they will not be carried out with consistency. Timing is another important factor in wise decision-making. Not every opportunity should be taken immediately, and not every delay means failure. Some decisions require patience, while others demand immediate action. Wisdom helps a person discern the right time to act. Rushing into decisions without proper evaluation can lead to costly mistakes, while hesitating too long can result in missed opportunities. A wise person knows when to wait, when to gather more information, and when to take decisive action without delay. Assessing risk and consequences is another vital part of making wise decisions. Every decision carries potential benefits and possible risks. A person who makes impulsive choices without considering the consequences often faces regret later. Before making a major decision, it is important to evaluate the pros and cons, consider alternative options, and think ahead about how the choice will affect the future. Wise decision makers do not avoid risks, but they carefully calculate them and prepare for possible challenges. They do not act recklessly, nor do they let fear stop them from making bold moves when necessary. Seeking counsel from trusted individuals is also a sign of wisdom. Many people make poor decisions because they rely solely on their own understanding. However, wise individuals seek guidance from mentors, experienced leaders, or those who have knowledge in a particular area. Getting advice does not mean blindly following others, but it does mean valuing the perspectives of those who have insights that can help refine and improve decision making. Even the most successful people in the world seek counsel before making major choices. Another essential practice in making wise decisions is learning from past mistakes. No one makes perfect choices all the time, but a wise person does not repeat the same errors. Instead of dwelling on past failures, they analyze what went wrong, extract lessons, and adjust their approach moving forward. Mistakes should not be seen as setbacks, but as opportunities for learning. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stagnant is that successful people learn from their wrong decisions and use them as stepping stones to better choices in the future. Wise decision making requires taking responsibility. Many people avoid making decisions because they fear being accountable for the outcomes. However, avoiding responsibility does not remove the consequences of inaction. Every decision, including the decision not to act, shapes one's life. Wise individuals take ownership of their choices, whether they lead to success or failure. They do not blame others or circumstances for their situation. Instead, they focus on what they can control, make adjustments, and continue striving for progress. By practicing wisdom, vision, self-discipline, patience, risk assessment, seeking counsel, learning from mistakes, and taking responsibility, anyone can develop the ability to make decisions that lead to a successful and fulfilling life. The quality of life is not determined by chance, but by the quality of decisions made each day. Those who commit to making wise choices will always find themselves moving forward toward a better future.